Hello, welcome to episode 62 of the Datapack tutorial series for version 1.21. We're going to be making a simple grave. We're going to use the summoning items from storage we did in the last episode, and we're going to turn that into a simple grave. So the idea will be, when I die, we will place down an item, and I can a block, and I can right click on that block, and I get my items back. But if naughty minion, who's just be looking off into the distance, ignoring me, and like, hey, you, if they come along and try and steal my grave, they can't get my items and I can't get theirs. So we're just going to keep it simple. Okay. Now I thought that button was supposed to clear my inventory. There we go. It clears the nearest player. Right. Let's make a start. Let's pop over here. We're going to use the load and the tick, but we also want some more. So let's call this graves. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted inside my namespace, inside function, a new folder, which I'm going to call graves. And I'm going to have a new file. I want to be able to, well, if the player dies, player died. That is not what I wanted to do either. Player died.mc function. Copy. And I want to be able to collect my items. New file. Collect items. I'll type this one again because I spelt it wrong last time. Copy. Let's correct you. We're off to a good start. We can't even spell MC function. New file. Summon items. And a new file. Summon items macro. Okay, that'll do. Let's start with load because we want some scoreboards. So I want one to count my deaths, scoreboard, objectives, add, has, died, and it will be of type death count. That's going to go up by 1 each time I die. Scoreboard, objectives, add ID. That's going to be a unique ID for each player. And I need game rule, keep inventory true, otherwise I'll die. And then my items will get taken away, and then I'll copy my items, which will be useless because it won't be copying anything. So we want game rule, keep inventory true. Let's save that. Let's close load. Okay, next, probably tick. So what do we want to do here? We want to assign an ID to players. Process dead players. And process collecting of the graves. Okay, so assign an ID. Execute as all players unless score that player ID equals that player ID. So this is going to run if they don't have an ID score. If their ID score is null, we will store the result as a score onto that player, their ID, the result of scoreboard, players, add, fake player, ID, holder, ID 1. So we're going to come along. If the player doesn't already have an ID, we are going to add 1 to the fake player ID's ID. And then we're going to store that into the player's ID. So the first player will get 1, the second player will get 2, the third player will get 3, and so on. Let's process dead players. Execute as all players. We'll try again there. All players whose scores equals has died equals 1 or higher. At that player, run function player died, and we'll process the collecting. Execute as any entity whose type equals a Minecraft interaction, whose tag equals grave. At that interaction, run function summon collect items. Save. Okay, we haven't really got anything to test at the moment. We can test the ID, I suppose. Let's close. Let's go here. Let's do a reload. That button there is just running the reload command. like so. And let's do scoreboard objectives, set display. Scoreboard objectives, set display to the sidebar. ID. Ah, there we go. I'm 1, minions 2. Cool. ID seems to be working. Let's remove that. Right. Let's move on to did the player die? Now, we want to do a few things in here. We'll reset the has died score. We will count the items in inventory because there's no point making a grave if it's 0. So we'll put that as well. Exit function if count was 0. So that's effectively exit the function if they have no items in their inventory. We'll send a message saying a grave was made or something like that. Then we'll place a block. That'll be our grave. Then we'll summon an interaction. So that is what they can click on to open their grave. And that will have a marker and stuff on it. We will copy the player's ID to the marker. We will copy the player's inventory to the marker. The marker is going to have an init tag. So once the stuff has been copied, we'll remove that tag. Remove init tag. And we'll clear the player's inventory. Clear inv. Okay. Ooh, it's a long one. Let's reset has died. Scoreboard. Players. Reset. At S. Has died. That was easy. Okay. Count the number of items in the inventory. Execute. Store. Result. As a score. We need a fake player. We'll say inventory underline count. And we'll just reuse the ID for this. ID. And we'll run clear the player that's just died. Everything. But we'll put a 0. So that's just going to store in there the count of the number of items. Now, if the item count was 0, we don't want to do anything. So we'll execute if score, if soccer, if score, if score, 3 times. Oh my, sorry, 4 times to type if score. Inventory count ID matches 0, then they have nothing in their inventory. We will run return. We're going to leave this function, but before we leave, we will run tell raw at S, open and close. We'll do something simple. Dum 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 dum. Speech marks. We'll have some text. Text. You had no items. No grave was placed. Color. Does it matter what color we do? Let's do gold because it's not an error. It's not a warning. It's just like you had no items. Just a bit of information. We'll do gold for information. Okay. Now, if they did have items, we'll keep going. So let's give them. Whoop, let's copy that tell raw. Actually, let's just copy that, paste it down there, and we'll just say a grave was placed. A grave was placed, and we'll say this is green. Green, good. Green for good. Yes. Okay. Now we'll set a block. Set block. I'm just going to use red wool. Use any block you like. Red wool. Summon an interaction. Okay. Execute. Align with the X and the Z. Because I might have not have died exactly in the middle of the block. But the set block is going to place the red wool in the middle of the block. So we're going to align to the corner of the block. And then we're going to run summon an interaction. And we're going to add 0.5 to the X and 0.5 to the Z. So what we're doing there, let's say I died off sort of in the corner here. I don't want the interaction spawning there. So this command is going to align to the XYZ. Voomph, it's going to go to the corner. And then it's going to add 0.5 and 0.5. And we're going to be in the center there. So my interaction will be surrounding the block nicely. That's the idea of that bit. And we'll need to give it some information. So let's give it some tags. We want, I suppose just one tag will probably do. We'll just say grave. Yeah, we'll give it a width and a height. Width, it has to be a little bit bigger than the block, so 1.01, a little bit bigger than the block. And we'll do the same for height. 1.01, a little bit bigger than the block. And it'll need a passenger. Passengers. Be a list of passenger. We're going to have one passenger. That passenger will have an ID, and the ID of that passenger will be a marker. And that passenger will also have some tags. He's going to be greedy. He's going to have 1, 2, 3 tags. We'll do grave. Then we could do kill anything called grave if we wanted it, and it would get the interaction and the marker. We'll also give it the tag grave marker, and we'll also give it the tag initialize me. Okay, let's copy the player's ID to the marker. Scoreboard, players. So we've been operation, and we will copy it to the marker. So type E, tag equals grave, marker, tag equals init me. We should put the type in there as well, actually, to be better. Type equals marker. And what we're going to, into its ID, we will say it equals my ID, or the player who died. Okay, so now it's got a copy of the ID. Now we need to copy the inventory to it. Data, modify, entity. Can we just copy the same? I suppose we just copy the same thing again. Copy that. But we'll have to limit it to 1. Limit equals 1. To its data dot inventory. Set from entity, the player that died, big I, inventory. Okay, so now it should have a copy of my inventory. Now we'll remove the init tag. Tag. Let's copy this again. Tag any Minecraft marker, grave marker, remove init me, and clear my inventory. Otherwise we're going to be duping stuff. Clear at S. Okay. Ooh, it's a lot. Let's go and test it. Well, we've been doing not that great recently for things working first time, but let's do a reload. I'll need some stuff in my inventory, so let's do our usual grab a few blocks. And then I will just... oh no, what's happened? Cool. Okay, so we've got a block. Let's do F3B. And, okay, I can see the bounding box of the interaction there, and it is just a little bit bigger. So if I left-click on that, I'm not going to be able to break that block. I'm hitting the interaction entity. Cool. Okay, but that interaction entity has now remembered that I've clicked on it, and it will not forget unless I tell it to. So what we'll do is we'll do a kill any entity whose type equals not player, and we'll get rid of them. So 2 entities, the interaction and the marker. Okay, that seemed all right. I suppose what we should do actually is we should check. Let's check. Oh, I've got nothing in my inventory. Okay, let's just get some sandstone. Let's check your data. Data get entity, and I'm pointing at it, so it's giving me the data of it. But will that actually get the interaction? Yes, look, it's got the interaction, but that's good enough because the interaction has a passenger. Where's passengers? Hey, where's passengers? Passengers. Aha, here we go. Passengers right in the middle of the screen there. Motion, we don't care about data, that's what we care about. And we have inventory, count 1, slot 0, ID Minecraft Sandstone. That's my inventory that I had when I died. Okay, that's cool. We'll leave you. Let's go back. So I think player died is probably working, but we want to be able to collect the items. Okay, so we're running this in tick. Collect items, so we're running as the interaction. Okay. Collect items. Right, this is going to be another long one. Let's tag the interaction if it has been right-clicked, and we will exit if it hasn't been right-clicked. There we go. Remove the tag. We will copy the player's ID and copy the ID on the marker, and then we will exit if the IDs don't match. Then we'll do a message. So this will be a message for the person whose ID does match. We will remove the block. We will copy the items to storage. So we're copying the items from the marker to storage. We will spawn the items. We will kill the grave marker and kill the grave interaction. Okay. Tag the entity if it has been right-clicked. Execute on target, not in the target, on target. Run tag. So it wasn't running at the interaction entity. Now it's running as me. Sorry, it's running as me at the interaction entity. So we will tag any entity whose type equals Minecraft interaction, whose tag equals grave, whose distance equals less than 0.1, limit equals 1, add process me. Okay, now if it doesn't have a tag, we want to leave, so we'll execute if entity at s tag is not equal to process me, run, return, exit the function. But before we exit the function, we will run data remove from entity at s interaction. So what's happening? I am clicking. Well, first of all, we're running as all graves, and that's going to take us to collect items. Now, let's say I have clicked on the grave, then the grave will have a target, and it will add process me, and then we'll keep going. If I haven't clicked on the grave, it won't have a target, so it won't get process me. It will then go here and say, you don't have the process me tag, and we'll exit. Now we'll remove that tag, because we don't need it anymore. Tag at s remove process me. Now we'll get the ID of the player who clicked, and we'll get the ID that's stored on the marker. Execute on target, so this is going to be me. Run scoreboard players operation. We'll just call that's a fake player. We're calling them player ID equals at s ID. Now at s is me because we are executing on target. I am the target. I am the person that right-clicked on the interaction entity. Right-clicked. Now let's get the marker's ID, and we'll just do execute on passengers. We only have one passenger. We made this. We know it's only got one passenger, so that will do. Run scoreboard players operation, and we'll just call this fake player marker, and we'll say their ID equals at s ID. Now at S this time is the passenger of the interaction entity. So we should have my ID stored in player, and we should have the marker's ID stored in marker. Now if they don't match, that means someone else is trying to get my grave. So let's execute unless score player ID equals marker ID store success in an entity at S interaction dot player as an integer, times it by 0, on target, run, return, run. Okay, so let's break down that bit first. So we're going to put another command at the end here. So if the marker ID is not the same as the player that clicks, we are going to run this command, which we don't have, which is just going to be a tell raw. I'll put that bit there, tell raw. It's just going to be a tell raw. If the tell raw is successful or not, so we'll either get a 1 or a 0, we are going to times that by 0, so it's definitely going to be 0, and we're going to save that into the interaction.player data of the interaction entity, which means it's going to forget who clicked on it, which is great. So if someone who's not supposed to click on it clicks on it, it's just going to give them a message. Let's do the message. We'll put a color there as well. So let's have some text. Text. That's not your grave. And we'll have a color. And the color will be red. And the reason why it's unhappy is because I haven't said who is the tell raw for. So we should put at S. At S. That means the player whose grave it isn't, they right click on it and it says to them that's not your grave. And it only says it to them. But if I do that, it's not going to show up when we're doing some testing. So let's put for everyone save. And that means the person who clicks on it is going to see the message and everyone else is going to see it. In fact, you might want to leave it like that. Then you know if you've got a grave robber running around the place. Okay, so normally that would be at S, so only the player who clicks on the grave sees a message. Now let's give a message if it is their grave. So we will execute on target, and we will run tell raw. Again, this would normally be at S. In fact, we'll leave this one as at S because I'll be clicking on my grave, so we'll leave this at S. That'll be fine. It's only when minion clicks on our grave that we want to see that he's being naughty. That's why that one's for all players. Text, a grave collected. And colour for that, I suppose it's a good thing. So good thing, we'll put green. Now let's remove the block. Set block. Those coordinates. To air. Copy the items to storage. Let's clear the storage first. Data. Remove storage ID data temporary, and then we will execute on passengers. So we're going to target the marker. We're now running as the marker at the interaction entity. Run data modify. Let's get rid of that space there. Run data modify storage ID data temporary dot inventory set from entity at S data dot inventory. So remember that. Remember we stored our inventory in data dot inventory on the marker, and at S is the marker because we are executing on the passengers of the interaction entity. Now let's spawn the items. Function summon items. Let's kill the grave marker. Execute on passengers. Run kill at S. And let's kill the grave interaction as well. Kill at S. Okay. Save. I suppose we could do a little test of this. Let's go into summon items. Summon items. Say hi. Okay, let's do a little test. Let's get our little fingers crossed. Okay. Minion, come and steal from my grave. That is not your grave. That is not your grave. That minion, your ID does not match. Get back on your crafting table. Okay. And now I will try and click on it. Ah, the grave's gone, and I've got a high as well. Okay, let's do F3B and just turn off those hitboxes. We don't need them anymore. Cool, so that seems good. Now we just need to spawn those items in. We're not going to do anything fancy. We're just literally going to go and stick them on the floor. We're not doing any sound effects or jiggliness or particles. Right, summon items. So now this, you recognize this bit if you watched the last tutorial. We will store the last item. We will summon that item, and we will run again if more items. Okay, store the last item. Data, modify, storage, temporary, dot, drop, item, set from storage. Hello. Data modify storage. ID data temporary. There we go. You're happy now, aren't you? Set from storage. ID data temporary dot inventory, and we want the last one. Okay. Summon that item. Function. Summon items macro with storage ID data temporary, which means we will have access to drop item, and drop item will be the item that is last in the list. Okay, and now we'll run again if there's still more items. Function, summon items with storage ID data temporary dot inventory, last one in the list. Save that. Okay, now let's go to summon items macro, where we will summon item, remove the last item in the list. Summon item. Okay, $, summon item at those coordinates. We'll have some item data on it, and the item data on it will be the stuff we just passed. Open and close, drop item, and now let's remove the last item in the list. Data remove from storage, ID data, temporary dot inventory, last one in the list. Save. Back we go. I don't have a grave. Let's get some stuff. That one, and that one. That will do. Let's do a reload. Stop looking at me, minion. I see you trying to steal my stuff. We've already tested it. We know it doesn't work. Okay. Go on then, minion. Go on, try and take it. Go on. No, you see? This is not your grave, minion. Now, if I right-click on it. There's my stuff. Yes. Okay. So, let's kill ourselves. We get our grave. Let's pick up some new stuff, because oh, look, I found myself a crafting table, a sign, and a button on my way to pick up my grave. And then we'll pick that up. Cool. Okay, so we've got a very, very simple grave system. Now, it's summoning it at pretty much at the point where we're dying. So, if we went down into the void and you died in the void space, that is where your grave is going to be. We are doing no checks at all. It is a very simple grave. I think it's quite fun though. I mean, it's gonna save your items more times than it's not, so it's still useful, and it's just an interesting thing to experiment with. Cool. So we have a personal little grave that stores our items, and we can go back and right click to get our stuff, and it is protected from the likes of Minion there, who is just waiting to come and snaffle your items away from you when you die. Anyway, that's it for today. I've rambled enough. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.